Multiple websites and other businesses have built their brands on the backs of sex workers and then push them aside when it's convenient. OnlyFans' ban of most NSFW content makes the adult media subscription site only the latest on a disgraceful list. We knew that OnlyFans was throwing its content creators, the ones who made the site a household name, to the wolves. But we now know that OnlyFans' ban is stricter and more malicious than it sounded when it was first announced. Last week, OnlyFans vowed to release their official new terms of use. Some on social media accused the site's content creators of fear-mongering, that they should wait for the new terms to come out. Now, a quick comparison between the old terms of use and the new ones tell us how alarmingly wrong they were. The OnlyFans policy update does affirm that some nudity will still be allowed, but the exceptions are extreme and absolute game changers. OnlyFans photos and video are no longer allowed to show, promote, or advertise any sexually explicit conduct. If you're wondering what in the world that means, the new terms of service spell it out. It's not just that OnlyFans creators can no longer have sex of any kind. Sexual intercourse is banned, whether it is actual or fake, or done with a toy or tool. And between people, that goes for oral and anal sex, as well as genital, in any combination. All banned. If you're thinking, okay, they're just going softcore now, well, we're not done. Masturbation, whether actual or simulated, is prohibited. And while nudity is allowed, zooming in on anybody's genitals or holes is no longer allowed. That's right, close-up shots of anybody's bits can get you banned. There is also a ban on body fluids, which means that the aftermath of sex or masturbation is prohibited. And of course, they cannot post teasers promising more for direct customers off of OnlyFans, because they cannot advertise anything sexually explicit. The new terms require that all of this sexually explicit conduct be removed before December 1st, 2021 at the latest. Users who violate the policy could see their accounts suspended, or terminated, or even have access to their earnings revoked. That last one sounds like OnlyFans is threatening to keep creators money if they break these new rules. There's no more porn on the porn site. And porn here includes selfies if they zoom in too closely on the wrong areas. With that, many people's early morning Twitter scroll might contain more explicit material than OnlyFans creators can now offer. Of course, that depends upon whom they follow. But while this is an inconvenience for customers, this is a travesty for sex workers who made the site a success. OnlyFans processed billions of dollars, and now it's discarding countless people from safe, reliable work. Last week, we reported on the downright sinister forces at play who made this ban a reality. MasterCard implemented new rules recently that required obscenely difficult new standards for any adult content. And the malefactors who lobbied for that consider this to be a victory. Ultimately, as we outlined in our reporting last week, this puritanical Thanos snap on horny content was deliberately caused. For some time, Christian dominionists engaged in a culture war have been using sex trafficking hysteria as a wedge issue. In many ways, it's the new satanic panic. When we refer to Christian dominionists, we're not talking about most American Christians. We're talking about people who want everyone's laws defined by their theology. Exodus Cry and the so-called National Center on Sexual Exploitation are two of the tools in their armory used to target sites like OnlyFans. Both Exodus Cry and NCOSE have been characterized as anti-sex worker hate groups. And with good reason. There is no way to advocate against someone's entire way of life and source of income and also support those people. Paradoxically, these groups and others sometimes claim to be crusading for women's rights by seeking to infringe upon the bodily autonomy of countless women. Before this, Exodus Cry is believed to have been responsible for Pornhub purging massive amounts of content. The claim at the time that circulated among anti-sex worker groups was that most of the site's content was suspect or illegal. While that was not true, all non-verified users of the porn streaming site were suddenly iced out, leaving mostly large studios behind. OnlyFans has been a godsend for countless sex workers, but new and old, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. We're talking about a source of stable income where content creators can work from home and generate revenue to feed their families and pay bills. Trans and disabled content creators found OnlyFans particularly appealing because many other lines of work involve discrimination and accessibility issues. There is one silver lining to this grim story: the publicity is not going the way that the malicious puppet masters intended. When Pornhub was pushed, many uncritically echoed the sentiment that Pornhub was pretty sketchy to begin with, and that the purge was necessary. This time, the overwhelming majority of the media coverage of the OnlyFans purge has been pro-sex worker. The goons at anti-sex worker hate groups clearly did not expect the finger-pointing to so quickly identify them and MasterCard, or to so loudly condemn this. This is a nightmare for so many content creators who will now have to find new sites in order to continue working. While many hope that OnlyFans' financial value will crash and burn as it richly deserves, there are countless creators on the site who are scrambling for new work. For now, we as individuals can support sex workers individually in some cases, but that doesn't solve the problem. Unmasking and exposing these groups in our midst that exist only to lobby to make the world a worse place has to be a priority. Anti-sex worker hate groups have lobbied card companies, the DOJ, and more. It's time for people with power to stop listening to the bad guys.